Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 41 of Syncing with ServiceNow. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside. Got a good topic today. Got a good panel. Fred Reynolds runs the Modern Apps practice where ServiceNow lives. Fred, how's it going?
Going great, Andy. How are you?
Good. I know you're heading up to Boston to spend some time with the ServiceNow folks up there. Hopefully it's a really good use of your time. I'm sure it will be. And then I think you were at some of the New York events last week, maybe.
Yeah, was absolutely. You know, this is my favorite time of the season, so this is a great time to travel, right? This is beautiful in most of the countryside, but
Yeah.
I am sort of like Boston. Used to hate it because of the driving, but with Uber, man, I could just land, get in the Uber, and not have to stress over where I'm going. So I do like it. So I think Andy, you told me about Uber years ago, and I didn't listen to you, but I will say, New York. I've got to spend some time with you next week in a leadership conference because I need to understand how to get around New York better. I
Yeah.
spent a little too much in Ubering, and I don't need to. I know, but you got
Yeah.
to teach me.
Yeah.
Fly into Newark and then take the path. That's what I
You
would do
know,
if I was.
years ago, I used to go to Jersey City a lot and come over to New York, but I mean, I failed this time. I will admit it, but I had a
But
great
that's
time in
not
New York.
even the path, Mike. There's a bus, picks you up right in front of every terminal and drops you off in Midtown, three different spots. It's amazing.
Well, I will need to get with you before I go back on the 7th. There's a World Forum in New York on the 7th that I plan to go to as well, so I need to know it before then.
And Uber just announced a week or two ago, they now have a shuttle that goes from Midtown to LaGuardia, like many times during the day. And you just use the Uber app to get on a shuttle, like with 10 people, takes you to
I
LaGuardia.
did see that. I think it's only like $7 too. It was a
Yeah.
good little bit away, and I was trying to go. So yeah, I didn't do a good job with managing my travel this time, but I will plan it better.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of technology weave-ins we could have. Their platform, Uber as a platform, Uber as your travel platform of the future. Think about that. That's a
Yeah.
related service now. I mean, that's what they're gunning for, no doubt. Mike Sabia. Sorry, Mike. Fred, what's the biggest takeaway from your time last week around the ServiceNow folks and what they were presenting? What's the number one thing you want to tell people you learned?
You know what? ServiceNow just continues to invest in their resources, their people, their platform. There's so much focus around AI, and I think they're doing a really good job of bringing more and more people in to help address all customers, right? Small, medium, large. They have big teams built around all of those. So I think my biggest takeaway from last week is how they continue to keep investing in, the back ends, the solution architects, the SEs to help support the platform, and the teams to really go alongside of us to go win customers over for ServiceNow.
Yeah. Awesome. Mike, how's it going?
It's going well. Thank you.
What's the hottest thing going for you this week?
I was off 2 days last week, so my hottest thing is just getting back into the game, finding out where those projects are going, see all my emails and the updates to them.
That's good. You do that. You get caught up.
Yeah.
I gave up on getting caught up.
He's 2 hours behind us, so he's still got a few hours in the day to get caught up. But
That's true.
hmm hmm
All right. So you guys brought a blog to review today. Let me share my screen with you guys.
It's
Okay.
pretty high level and doesn't delve quite so much into the products as some of our other podcasts, but
I
pretty
like it.
topical as
I
always.
can't wait to share this with some of our IT leaders because this is where your head's got to be at. So then it says the title is New Research, the Changing Role of IT Leadership in Organizations. I'm going to translate that to In the Business. It's by Evan Ramzipour from October 15th of this year. I love this topic that you brought forth today because IT has been in most organizations a support center and a cost center for a long time. Now that we're hopefully going to be leading the AI revolution with platforms, not products, platforms like ServiceNow, we finally get a chance in the IT world and with the IT leaders that we're going to be working with and supporting to truly accelerate the business. And that's what this blog is talking about. Mike, why specifically did you pick this one?
We as I was just saying, this one doesn't maybe go into quite so much the product, but sometimes we need to step back and look at it from a higher level. Yes, ServiceNow is continuing to grow. It's getting broader and deeper, and it's fantastic. But sometimes you have to take a step back and say, hey, what are we trying to do? And as we talk about in this blog, the role of IT or leadership in general, not just IT leadership, is changing, and we need to be more aware of what's happening and how we can direct the business rather than just maintaining an organization.
So it's got a little bar graph here, and it starts with number one, 67% of the IT leader's job is strategy and vision, not for IT anymore, but for the business. Fred, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that one thing above that, you see back there, it talks about CTOs and CIOs, right? They're now starting to be more responsible for a wide range of tasks that are outside of what traditionally was IT. So it is important that vision, that strategy, because what used to be outside of IT for other businesses to handle is now become a lot more part of the technologists and the information officers that own tools or platforms that make decisions that impact them. So I mean, I think it's strategy, in my opinion, has always been part of the CIO's role in a big way. Strategy is a lot different from having a vision, and I think the vision plays a part into where are you going to be in 5 years, and what are the tools and what are the choices around your technology stacks going to get you there. I think
Yeah,
it's
where
far more
where
important these days.
where are you going to be, Mr. Company, Mr. Business, Mr. CEO, Mr. CFO, Mr. COO? That IT guy, that IT guy in the organization should be a thought leader like all those other guys have been. So instead of being support for all these other parts of the business, because of the technology use cases, which has been the case for a while, but now with AI being a forethought instead of an afterthought, we're gonna have to have a massive seat at the table from a
Yeah.
technology perspective. Mike, I'm going to read through these real quick and then I'll come back to you just to kind of talk through them. Cost management and profitability, 62%, change management, 59%, digital transformation, 59%, talent management and skills development, 54%. Again, these are all things that IT leaders are thinking about as it relates to their job at the company. Customer and employee experience, 52%. That's got to be that one's had to come up a lot in the last couple of years. Ethics and governance of AI and emerging technologies. Well, if you don't realize you're going to be the watchdog for that, you better realize it pretty quick because that's part of this responsibility that we've got. Workflow digitization, and automation at 50%. Drive value and ROI from technology investments. Well, that's a given, and that's one that's we've been focused on forever and still struggling with, but part of the role for sure. Business growth and shareholder value. Wow, that one snuck its way in there, but yeah, I mean, if you're driving strategy that's successful, that should be the result. Mike, just in general, a recap of these and any of them stand out to you as unique?
I mean, all of these are super important. There's some that are a little bit more traditional, like the third one, change management. But even the one just below it, digital transformation, that's where we've been in the business the last 20 years, taking an old school brick and mortar company and making it digitally available, transforming it into something larger.
Yeah.
Each of these is important, and I could go off for 10 minutes on any of these.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily, my personal sense is that business growth and shareholder value should be lower for an organization that is trying to grow and be respected. But the way that C-levels are higher nowadays, the growth and shareholder value, unfortunately, is right and center with those type of roles. So I'm a little more attached to some of the more tactical and strategic rather than just shareholder growth. But any one of these are super, super important.
Had a
See, Andy, I think
conversation.
if I can comment real quick, coming from this was like what my life was 10 years, right? To a couple of years ago. Like I do see like you would not have seen business growth and shareholder value being a part of kind of a traditional CIO type role, right? In the IT space. Not a lot of it. It was really about managing and cost management and profitability was about managing your costs within IT, internal. So much of this has changed, in my opinion, the last several years of now you kind of focus now, how are you impacting your customers, right? That's the things that have made a big difference. And then the ethics and governance around AI and emerging technologies. Emerging technologies has been around for a long time. You do not see a lot of IT leaders really trying to use that emerging technology in their own shop because they're nervous to how it would impact their customer base internally. Again, all these things focus internally. But now everything's shifting to AI so heavily. AI is part of that emerging technology, and they're starting to be forced, it feels that way, from just where they are, every IT leader looking at AI, that it has to be part of those daily discussions at this point. So I definitely see the shift.
You know, Here's one way I'm kind of looking at this. Imagine an automobile manufacturer that just put the same straight six or V8 in a car forever, forever and ever. And all of a sudden it became important that the fuel efficiency became top of mind. And next thing you know, all the manufacturers had to redesign their engines to be 4-cylinder and 6 cylinders with turbos. All of a sudden the engine department at an organization became extremely important when for many years they were just, part of the package.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
That one makes sense. All right. This paragraph here says changing IT leadership demands. Mike, what are they saying there?
It's a little bit similar to what we were talking about. What does it mean to have a well-functioning IT team? Before, you were talking about grading yourself based on how how well you run the business, whether you have attrition, but we starting to look at some of the things we just spoke about, business growth and shareholder value, to then go into boosting revenue and creating financial value. Before, IT was very much a cost center, and now they're have a seat at the table to figure out how we're going to grow, and AI is naturally part of that. If you want to say, hey, how can I do this? Why reinvent the wheel? Leverage AI as much as possible, not just in an automated fashion, but in your daily lives.
How much of that you think is related to the necessity of what AI can do for the business, and how much of that do you think is related to FOMO, like fear of missing out on what could happen if you really took advantage of AI in the business?
Going off a tangent a little bit, a lot of what you see today, people claiming this is AI, is not really AI. They're just putting the sticker on it in order to get that badge of, hey, we're a leader, or we're maybe justifying my job, or trying to show that my business is on the front end. But if you take a moment and step back and say, hey, what does it really mean? I don't think it's just fear of. I mean, I suppose it partially is. Hey, I have a fear that in 10 years maybe my job won't be there, and that is an aspect. But ultimately, if you want to be proactive, if you want to grow and not just be reactive, you need to embrace those things so that you can figure out how you can be on the cutting edge and not just keep your job.
Red, thoughts?
Yeah, I think it comes to changing the IT leadership demands. I think the demands have changed across IT, and I think it's now across the C levels, across the business units. They're starting to understand some of the tools that IT can provide them to help them actually go and be more, create financial value, right? Create a better position for the company. So I think that's kind of been the biggest change. You don't see you still see niche type tools, but now you're looking at more tools that can actually help across all the business units. And that's kind of been a big change.
I think that's a huge part of it. The fact that IT now brings everybody together. It was always a requirement of all the different business units or different departments. But now we have a chance to help improve efficiencies across all of them using the technologies and platforms we've put in place, but now AI accelerates that.
And I think the buzzword digital transformation several years ago and everybody going toward digital transformation really started that outward view of everybody was involved in making some of that transformation. I think it brought that need of having IT still be the center of operationalizing what the company does. So I think it is still ties to digital transformation, but now it's like, what tools do they have? And I think that's brought more awareness to some of these platforms versus niche tools.
Yeah. Well, as I skimmed this article earlier, this is the one I was most excited about because we finally get to talk about, obviously, IT is a profit center. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it used to be a cost, and now it's a profit. If you want to run a business, IT is not just a means to make the big things happen. It is the way to make things happen. Customers and companies need to focus on the technology and see that's what we're selling. We're not selling necessarily the widget. We're selling the process by which we provide those widgets. And IT is not just a person listening in the boardroom. It's the one that's often driving those conversations.
Yeah. And that's because, with AI, we said that acronym a ton already, but with AI, now all of a sudden we've got a chance to prove our worth in terms of accelerating the profitability of the business faster than we ever could before with everything else we ever had. Now all of a sudden there's this this, I'll say human intelligence accelerator that's done through technology that's going to allow the business to be exponentially more successful from a profits perspective, because the investment is high, but the human capital that takes to run it once you've done it is much lower, or almost, well, much lower. And so profitability becomes, the answer as you apply apply AI to the stack.
I think IT is helping get to a better profit for the fact that the automation that it's created is tying other business units together for whether we quote to cash or whether it's customer service. A lot of the information from these tools or platforms that are being utilized are actually making teams more successful and making sure you understand the more the impact to doing things or not doing things to your customers. I think it's the use of that is actually helping to not only show some of the profitability or show some of the losses when things aren't going well. That process is very important that Mike mentioned.
Mike, next section talks about new IT skills. This isn't our, I'm about to use a statement here. You might not be old enough to understand. This isn't your father's Oldsmobile. This is a whole new set of skills you're going to have.
I'm not that young, but yes, I hear you. And it's interesting, we think about AI. Hey, how can we, speed up this ticket resolution? How can we give people a quick summary of the ticket? How can we, look at all these logs and identify trends before they happen? All those are important. Myself, I personally, when I go to ChatGPT, I'm often thinking about, hey, how can I say this? And it spits out a way to make it something very presentable. And when you look here and talk about soft skills and communication, people are using AI to beef up their skills. And if you want to be competitive, if you want to be able to, show yourself as well spoken and well thought out, you need to see what's out there. And part of that is using this to find out and see how you can phrase it, but also use as a training method for, improving your own skills and not just be the IT head downs guy.
Well, I think, Mike, that's a big difference, right? IT traditionally was heads down, guy was in the closet working on the keyboard and fixing things. These days, the IT is more upfront, being brought into some of the C-level discussions, being brought into some of the cross-organizational discussions of how this works, right? How can that data get moved from there to there? How can you utilize that in your process? It does require some soft skills. It does require IT smart resources that can actually communicate effectively and sometimes put it in layman's terms. So it is a more soft skills approach to IT than just having to have all the certs and nerding out like you used to in IT.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not your traditional IT guy's strongest skill set.
Well, that's where you have an IT team, right? You still want those people to do throw them in the closet, let them code, or let them fix and be troubleshooters, right? That's still a skill set, of being able to troubleshoot and find issues. But I think in some of this transformation, we're seeing some more of the use of AI. You have to have people with more soft skills to understand how does that translate into the user community to have a better customer service user experience.
And that's not just mean that you have to be, superb at everything. You have colleagues. We have a great couple of great marketing people. If I have a document that I need to send out or a template, I run it by them. I say, hey, I could probably do this. You could probably do it quicker. And you see what they do, and they do a fantastic job, and then you learn it for your day-to-day job. Hey, how can I present a new topic in a fantastic way?
So lots of talk about AI. We're going to wrap this up by talking about the human-centric future that includes AI. Mike?
Building on what I said, we're not just using AI. We're not just doing soft skills to become, more and not less. We're want to understand everything it is possible, what all those tools that are at our fingertips, whether they are personal skills that are grown by leveraging AI personally, or leveraging AI to do some of that hard work that would otherwise need to be done very slowly in order to identify trends and the like. Everything is human centric, whether it's going to be making things human improved from a customer experience, or making things more available to us in a human understood format by that deep language immersion, whether we want to be a seat at that C-level table. Everything is human centric. It's never going to be, hey, let's just run this and it does things. AI is far more than just doing something a little faster.
Brad, thoughts?
Yeah, not too much to add to that, other than the fact that I look at it as even what we're trying to do from a ServiceNow, you know, partner, a team of resources trying to work with our customers to really understand their business needs, their processes. It's the same way. We're trying to create that relationship, understand what they're trying to accomplish, and then act on that. This isn't just task. So I kind of look at it the same way. This isn't just task. It isn't just things you take and go, check that box, I've done that, and everything comes together. That human centric has to be able to focus on what is the end goal, and are you achieving that, and can you measure that, than just task based things.
This is where I usually like to talk about the fact that, this AI thing is it going to take over the world? Well, we sure hope not, and I don't think it will. However, what it is going to be is it's an effective tool and a coach for those who know how to take advantage of it and can apply the human element to the power of the tool set.
Yeah.
No.
Indeed.
Mike, you think we didn't cover?
I think we covered it fairly well. AI is here. It has a lot of uses to speed things up, but it's also a tool for us to improve ourselves and make ourselves more presentable. It's a tool for us to learn how we can leverage other people's ideas to improve our business. It's going to be pretty near and dear to all of us.
Mm-hmm. Brad, anything you think we should cover that we haven't covered?
No, I think we have. I'll just go back to the change of role of IT leadership. I think that the main thing that just to reemphasize is, IT these days are part of the company in a forward-looking, how does it impact the bottom line? How can IT be utilized to help us improve our market value, our position, our profit? And that is a change. I mean, that is one thing I think that is really neat. And I will put the plug in for ServiceNow, since this is our syncing with ServiceNow. It is absolutely a tool that I have a lot of conversation with C-levels these days. They're trying to understand how a mega platform like this fits into their vision and their strategy and what they're trying to do. And it checks so many boxes as far as helping them with that type of transformation. Yeah, all those things you're circling right there is a great example of that.
Well, that's what I was going to bring it back to the chart. I mean, if you go through this and look at all the things you're trying to accomplish here as an IT leader, every single one of them becomes more doable with a platform like ServiceNow to accomplish,
Absolutely.
to leverage.
And it's really great. I'll circle back to, last week, like you said, Andy, I was in New York and did one of our blueprint lunches where we talk about, how we're using ServiceNow as XenTegra, how I use ServiceNow even at enterprise. And those leaders in the room, it was great conversations and did not, even though they may own ServiceNow, did not even realize how large the platform was because they're not looking at it in those areas. And that kind of opens their eyes into so many areas where they can go after and do it. So really neat, and enjoy having those conversations.
And for me, that means they're not looking at it as a platform that can do anything. They just got to bring their imagination.
Well, and I asked the question, right? It's kind of like, how long have you had it, right? Some have had it 5 years, some have had it 10 years. The ones that had it a lot longer did not realize that HRSD was kind of part of that platform. Now, how does it tie to HR? So again, I think that re-education and what we need to do, like through this podcast, our webinars, and what we do get in front of our customers is to educate them, because some of these people bought the tools a long time ago. Got to stay in front of them as how things are evolving.
Right. Well, and that's, we didn't do the commercial at the beginning of this, but that's what we are as a partner, is the opportunity to work with these platforms, these customers who have invested in the platform and have a limited knowledge of what you can do with the platform. That's where the right partner shows up with, podcasts like this and webinars and just ideas around what we can share that either we've done with other customers or we've seen other customers do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Mike, Fred, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Do it again in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Thanks.